All right, this TV guide is from March 31st of 1984. So if you're a fan of old TV, if you're just interested in TV history, if you lived through this era, we go through these TV guides. We always find something interesting in each one, something different, something notable. So this era is broadcast TV was still king, antenna TV. People did have cable, but a lot of households still had antenna TV, so they might have had 6 or 7 or 8 channels at the most. Another thing about TV Guide, a lot of TVs back then did not have remote controls. A lot of them did, but a lot of them didn't. So one reason perhaps to have a TV Guide was you could see what was on without getting up and flipping channels. So the cover here, I don't know who this is. I guess we'll find out inside. Well, let's crack this open. You know what we see on the first page here. First ad we see. Raleigh cigarettes. Guess they don't make those anymore. Don't exactly know what this article is about. Talking about Khrushchev and Kissinger, I guess. Probably mostly fiction. Don't know, don't care. Another cigarette ad. Salem, I think, was more marketed towards women. Alright, so this is the woman that was on the cover. Teri Copley. So there's one to look up. Every time we go through one of these, there's 2 or 3 things that are new information that's probably worth looking up. So, yeah, I don't know if she's like in a TV movie. Maybe we'll see it later in this issue, like Wednesday Night Movie or who knows what. So landed and we got it made. Temporary leads and Dukes of Hazzard. Anyway, we'll find out maybe. Now the Cranes have something to whoop about. Some of these articles I've mentioned in other videos. I never read these articles. Usually flip right past them. Usually they at least have something to do with entertainment. I guess this maybe is some wildlife show that's coming on this week or something. Check that guy out. Kind of looks like Fabio a little bit, but that's not Fabio. Here's another cigarette ad. 3 and counting. Dude from Family Ties. Looks like maybe he's in. Oh, maybe he's just talking about his marriage. Yeah, these are the articles I kind of remember where you just have some quick articles. Maybe some pictures from some stars you liked. Roots 3. Oh, talking about Trapper John, I think. There's Rinko from Hill Street Blues in '84. I think that was still on. I remember that as more of a late 70s, early 80s show, but it ran longer than I realized. Don't recognize anybody here. Obviously, we could read these articles, but we'll see what catches our eye and what doesn't. Oh, these are the soap opera ones. Yeah, I think they always had a soap opera page. I forgot about that. Sports page. Carl Lewis. Amazing athlete that did both sprints and long jump, which is kind of not unheard of now. It's kind of a bygone thing at the Olympic level. Newcomer. 2-page cigarette ad. The Marlboro Men. Let's have true freedom of expression. Whatever, some commentary thing. News update. Ratings dropped. Yeah, television ratings back in the 70s and 80s was just unimaginable by today's standards. How many people collectively would watch one show? You could culturally sort of bond over those kind of things. Not that this is the highest form of culture or anything, but it was a way for people to share something, and that's all gone now. This is an Indiana edition. We'll talk about that in a second. Main thing about that is I think the time zone kind of makes it slightly different than if you're on the East Coast or West Coast in terms of when shows come on. I think they come on an hour earlier. There's some more letters. Greeting the A-team. All right. Past this, there's a sports calendar, so this would be late spring, maybe basketball season still going, baseball not quite started up yet, I guess hockey would be going. I think the Final Four will be over with. Looks like we do have a Cubs game, maybe that's opening day or spring training, I'm not sure. Here's the pay TV movies. The TV guides in the like 84 did include some listings for like HBO, Showtime. Looks like that's it. Just scanning these to see if I see something funny or worth mentioning. Quite a few I don't recognize, like the Happy Years and Dot and the Bunny. Do remember Cujo. Kids at school love that for some reason. Had the mom from E.T. in it. Ragtime was a good movie, if I remember, if that's the one I'm remembering. Pretty sure it is. Willy Wonka, people love that movie. Yeah, so this shows that this TV guide served several markets in Indiana. So if you were in Bloomington, PBS would be channel 30. But if you were in Muncie, PBS would be 49. So that's kind of the nature of why you see multiple channels here sometimes, because this TV guide covers all those markets. All right, Saturday morning. Let's see what was on Saturday morning in 1984 that you would get out of bed for if you were a kid like me. Tennessee Tuxedo. I think that was a little, whatchamacallit, Penguin. Captain Kangaroo still on in 84. 60 Minutes. I wonder if those were still new episodes at that point, if it was just reruns. Underdog, pretty sure that would have been a rerun. Monchichi's kicking it off at 8. If you remember, you remember. Little Rascals Richie Rich. Talk about this in another video. I didn't realize that. That must have ran for several years. And you never hear about a Little Rascals cartoon. Just the I do remember Saturday Supercade. That was the one, because Atari was so popular at that time, and Pac-Man and Q*bert and all these characters. And I think this Saturday Supercade had like a bunch of video game related cartoons. Smurfs, New Scooby and Scrappy. I like Scrappy. Apparently some true Scooby-Doo fans don't like Scrappy. I did like them. Pac-Man and Rubik's The Amazing Cube cartoon. Dungeons and Dragons, I love that cartoon. That was one of my favorites at the time. Still love that cartoon. Tarzan cartoon, I remember that. I think I got that on DVD if I've yet to watch it. I need to watch that. I've always been a Tarzan fan. I'm sure it's an 80s cartoon level, but might still be good. So they have these evening lineups, even though we're looking at the middle of Saturday. They put these a couple pages before. So I usually look at these because it's a nice, quick, easy way to see what's on Saturday night or whatever night they're covering. Looks like the NCAA tournament was still going. So yeah, I guess they're at the end of the NCAA tournament. All right, I remember tons of these shows, so I'm going to have to comment on some of them. TJ Hooker, Dukes of Hazzard, Airwolf, Mike Hammer, Silver Spoons. What a lineup. I feel like some of these shows might have come on during the week, and then what networks would sometimes do would show them again on like a Saturday or Sunday, because Saturday's not the most popular night for everybody to be sitting at home watching TV. But I could be wrong about that. Maybe Saturday night was the night to watch Dukes of Hazzard and Airwolf. If you're a young kid, it would not get any better than that. If you don't know what Airwolf is, come on, folks. Gnarly helicopter, Jan Michael Vincent, the Mike Hammer show. That was a fun sort of detective, hard-nosed show for TV. T.J. Hooker, Captain Kirk with his toupee and his tight cop uniform, Adrian Zemed. Come on, how do I know all this off the top of my head? I got a lot of useless facts in my brain. First beer ad, we got beer ad, we got cigarette ads, we got whiskey ads. Guarantee we'll see at least one of each in this TV guide. Just checking out what's going on Saturday afternoon, which is probably going to be pretty boring, such as golf. You can watch some Hawaii Five-0 reruns. 1984 baseball, yeah, so probably opening day is about to kick off, so it looks like they had a baseball preview. I love this. Time to get your TV hooked up so you can watch baseball this summer. Wide World of Sports. Talked about this in one of my other videos. At this time, you had to depend on your antenna TV to catch whatever sports might be on. I believe it was ABC had Wide World of Sports, and it would cover several sports all in like an hour or two. So let's see quickly. NCAA swimming and diving, pre-Olympic events, horse race. Yeah, so you're going to see all kinds of stuff. Kind of a weird show because you wouldn't necessarily want to watch all those different sports, but it was, a good collection. Yeah, here we go. Check this out. This is what's fun about going through these, if nothing else. Just looking at some of these ads, some of these promos. Sometimes they have artwork, sometimes they have photos. People are funny. I vaguely remember that. Kind of like I don't know, Candid Camera type show. Airwolf, Ernest Borgnine, Jan Michael Vincent doing his scenes, stone drunk. Then we got Mike Hammer over here, Stacy Keach. Always had some babes on the show, so that's why we would tune in. Check this out. This is the primetime lineup that we kind of already looked at over on the other page. Kenner, Turbo Knight, Knight Rider, Turbo Booster. Never remember that toy, but I bet it would be awesome if you were a kid and you had that. Some department store car, the Hills in Indiana. And just looking back on Vietnam. So now we're getting late Saturday night, especially since Indiana's an hour behind. Just seeing what's on here. Riders on the Rain, French, Charles Bronson. Never heard of that Charles Bronson movie. Giving you guys something to look up. If you're a Bronson fan, boom, you just discovered a movie by him, unless you already knew about it. If you're up at 2 a.m., you go out wrestling. If you're up at 4 a.m., you watch Blood and Guns. All right, get into Sunday morning. Sometimes some religious stuff, such as Abundant Life, Jimmy Swaggart, etc. Gilligan's Island, Sesame Street, I Love Lucy. Again, you may not have all these channels, so you may not have the I Love Lucy channel, so you might have to settle for Gilligan's Island there. Or you might have something to do like go outside and play. Alright, just checking out. So let me curious to see what kind of sports. I didn't notice any sports on Saturday. I could probably go back and look, but let's see if there's any sports going on Sunday. Wouldn't be football season. Incredible Hulk reruns coming on at 11 Sunday morning. Got some stuff for the youngsters to watch. Yeah, they do got the ads for the TV guide in here. Just trying to see if I got some tennis going on. Got some golf again. $800,000 purse for the golf tournament. Now one guy makes that at the end of the tournament. Just checking to see what else. American Sportsman, Windsurfers, USFL, check that out. I only think they had 1 or 2 seasons of that, so 84 must have been one of those seasons. There's a whole history that I don't fully remember. I think Herschel Walker had something to do with some draft picks or something related to USFL. I don't remember for sure. All right, Sunday evening. Yeah, here's the women's NCAAs. Let's see what's on Sunday night. Fame. That was a great show. Very popular in the first couple years. Ripley's Believe It or Not. Talked about that in another one. Maybe we'll see another cool ad for that because they had some crazy stuff on there. Knight Rider. Would definitely be watching that. You may not believe me, but I occasionally watch one of those episodes now, and they actually hold up pretty well. They're not as cheesy. I mean, they're a little bit cheesy, but they're not as cheesy as, say, the A-Team. They're halfway decently written. So Knight Rider, we wouldn't think it, but it kind of holds up. Jeffersons and Alice. Let's see, I wanted to look for something in the daytime, but I don't remember what it was now. Buy a Poochie personal care toys. Oh, I know what it was. It's Austin City Limits, and I may forget by the time we get to it, but I wonder if it tells us who's going to be on there when we get to 7 o'clock. Something else. Oh, here it is. Well, here's one that comes on at 5:30. George Strait. Okay. I wonder if they focused more on country music in the early days. Definitely in the later days, they featured all kinds of music. Superman 3. They're pushing that on cable. I do remember going to a friend's house who had cable and watching part of that. And even as a kid, we knew it was awful. So you know it was awful if a kid thought so. But still, Christopher Reeve, I think that was the one with Richard Pryor, yeah. Seen the Hardy Boys in a couple of these TV guides I've gone through. I have not seen Nancy Drew, which I'm kind of surprised because Nancy Drew was like way better, although Hardy Boys was good. Yeah, satellite was another option in the 80s. I guess it still is. So as opposed to cable. There were some gigantic satellite dishes in the 80s. All right, here we go. Some more of these ads that are fun, and that's what makes these, going through these, fun. Maggie Briggs, Suzanne Plachette, and some show called Domestic Life with Martin Mull. This is what we were doing in the 80s. And neither one of these shows obviously really caught on. Gala of the Stars. I don't see many stars there other than Liza. But if you see your favorite star in that list, I apologize. Check this out. 80s was definitely the era of the miniseries, the made-for-TV movie. And this looks like one of those. Samson and Delilah. Biblical story. Looks like they're making a romance novel out of it. Belinda Bauer, Max Van Sydow. Not a bunch of huge names there. Hardcastle and McCormick. I missed that somehow on the other page. I think I remember this movie. Yeah, they had like some pretty realistic reenactments or whatever of this crazy plane crash that actually happened in the 80s. Where it crashed into the freezing Potomac, and I guess some people survived. And the movie version was pretty riveting, I'll say. Just seeing if anybody, Barry Corbin, but I don't see any big names there. Here's more about that. What is this? The Love Report? Sounds weird. Oh, daytime series. That's why it's weird. All right, this is Sunday night. Entertainment this week. Star Search. MASH reruns. Dance Fever, you gotta stay up at midnight to see that. Probably came on during Saturday and we missed it. Monday morning, let's see what you might be able to catch in the morning before school. Cowboy Bob's Corral. Wonder what that is. Jim Baker. Send him some of your money. Don't see many cartoons here. Muppet Show. I Dream of Jeannie. That's TBS though. Probably wouldn't have that. Electric Company. To this day, I don't fully remember the difference between the Electric Company and Sesame Street. It's like a mental block I have. Don't see many cartoons. Mr. Rogers, Flintstones, but by 8:30 you were probably on the bus or going to school. All right, AM Agriculture, Channel 18. Seems like every TV guide I go through has one of these giant ads for some yokel TV news guys, including a guy with a very bad toupee in this one. Bad toupees are actually great though, aren't they? Let's be honest. The worse it is, the better it is. It's like an anachronism or something. Monday night, so let's see what was on. TV's Bloopers and Practical Jokes. That was a fun show to watch. More like TV bloopers and not like home people kicking each other in the groin in their house or anything like that. More like TV gaffes and stuff. Scarecrow and Mrs. King. Automan. 2 hours, so maybe that was like the premiere. Maybe they were re-showing the pilot episode or something. Frontline was on back then, and looks like the NCAA tournament was on Monday night. So yeah, that'd probably be the championship game if it was coming on Monday night. So it looks like Monday, let's put this down for posterity, April the 2nd, 1984. Who remembers who won it that year? I do not. Might have been Georgetown? Leave a comment and tell me. All right, so this is Monday late evening or late afternoon, early evening. Love Boat reruns, Chips Patrol. Wonder what's different about that from the regular Chips. See, that's another thing that might be worth looking up. Sounds kind of great though. Rock singer Laura Branigan is starring or co-starring or whatever, guest starring. I'm very curious now. Sounds like they at least had some relevant people on the show. Scotch tape, VHS, buy your blanks. Man, I didn't realize they were that expensive in '84. It seems like they got less expensive maybe in a year or two, but I could be wrong. Facts of Life Go to Paris. So there's the whole crew. Great show, well-loved show. Great personalities on there. It's like they got a whole movie. Sins of the Past, check that out. Debbie Boone. Barbara Carrera. Monday Night Movie. Yeah, they got the cable TV. I haven't been digging into those, but maybe I should focus a little bit on the cable TV and some of these. Maybe we'll scan the next one on Tuesday night. Tuesday morning, probably the same as Monday morning. I'm curious about this Janie show for children, 1984. Not Jeannie, but Janie. Another one of these weird news ads. All right, Tuesday night, Three's Company. Guess it was still on in '84. The A-Team and Riptide, that's what you'd be watching. Look at this, A-Team, Riptide, Remington Steel. That's what you'd be watching. Forget the rest of this. Riptide was a fun show. I don't remember all the details, but I recently saw a video on it, And part of it was like the three actors in it were kind of would give each other a hard time and kind of joke back and forth. So there was that extra dynamic that made it fun. Remington Steele is a great sort of James Bond ripoff show that was really good for a couple years. Miss Teen USA. Just seeing what else. Let's take a quick scan of what's on cable. Some boxing. Firefox, I remember that movie. It was a terrible movie. Tender Mercies, that's a great movie. If you have not seen that, go watch it. I kid you not. And I know I'm joking around a lot. Tender Mercies, excellent movie. They don't make them like that hardly ever, and certainly not anymore. Take my word for it. Go find it. All right, so this is a Tuesday afternoon. Some of these ads are fun, so even if we're seeing kind of the same stuff on the weekdays, we'll see some fun ads and stuff. There's that Miss Teen USA, hosted by Heather Thomas. That's a reason to tune in right there. Who cares about this guy? I'm not even going to read his name. We got Heather Thomas from The Fall Guy. Every boy remembers that bikini. Pitfall for $29. Man, I didn't realize Atari games have cost that much in the 80s. And Atari would have been pretty much on the way out in 84, so surprised they weren't trying to dump these. Check this out, the morning lineup. That's Diane Sawyer, I think. All right, Wednesday night, the aforementioned Fall Guy. We just talked about the star of that show, and it wasn't Lee Majors. No, I'm kind of kidding. Basketball All-Star, Jane Doe movie, Dynasty and Hate. Don't remember Hate. St. Elsewhere coming on Wednesday night at 10. What's the deal with Bob Hope? Why was he so big in the 80s? He was huge in the 60s, respectable, respect, but why was he so huge in the 80s? Can someone explain it to me? So check this out. This is the Bob Hope thing, some kind of comedy special. But look at all these comedians, man. If they had all these on one show, it was probably pretty amazing. Eddie Murphy, Joan Rivers, Richard Pryor, Dudley Moore, Jackie Gleason. I guess I could read here. Chevy Chase. Is he a comedian? Lucille Ball. Norton. Laurel and Hardy. Those couldn't possibly be the actual guys. Maybe they were showing like old footage or something. Maybe it was like a collection of clips and stuff. Steve Martin. And the list goes on. Yeah, I think some of these Marx Brothers would not, I don't know if they have still been alive in 1984. And I apologize, I don't remember all this stuff off the top of my head. Mama Malone. Vaguely remember seeing like the opening credits for that on YouTube somewhere. Here's that Jane Doe we just saw before. Desperate Woman Without a Memory. It's an interesting hook. I mean, I'm not going to lie. She's attractive. Might tune in. Double Trouble. I vaguely remember this. Don't remember anything about it. One's an angel, the other's a devil. Might be the same actress playing both parts, or it might be twins. I don't remember. There's St. Elsewhere. Precursor to ER. Two Smurfs shows that people loved. So, can't account for taste. Including mine. You might disagree. All right, Thursday. AM agriculture again. Maybe see what the weather's going to be like. And that might be more relevant in Indiana than in other markets. So that might be why that runs here. Got some Little House on the Prairie at 4 o'clock on Thursday. Inspector Gadget, one of my all-time favorite cartoons. He-Man. Man, you'd be in hog heaven if you came home from school and got to watch that. Thursday night, let's see what we got. Give Me a Break, Family Ties, Cheers, Hill Street Blues. Wow, what a lineup. Give Me a Break, Family Ties, Cheers, I Don't Know What Buffalo Bill Is, Hill Street Blues. Magna P.I. going up against that, which is pretty strong. And I guess Fame and Cousteau would be the other things on. Unless you're going to watch Political Debate. And gosh help you if you are. Swimming pools for $1,200. Now you can't buy a floating device for that much. Robin Hood on Showtime. Huh. Never heard of that. Dude, kind of looks like Tom Cruise, but that's not him. Tom Cruise would have been way much younger at this time. Ace of Spies with Sam Neill. That sounds kind of interesting. Cold War stuff. Sam Neill's a good actor. Huh, check this out. Farrah Fawcett and Beau Bridges. Is this a show? This is a special movie presentation. That's funny. That's why we look through here. Yeah, Farrah was the biggest thing on two legs in the 70s. By the 80s, you know, things move quickly in Hollywood. All right, we're down to Friday. Let's see what's on Friday night. The Purple Taxi. Maybe we'll see an ad for what that is. Benson, Webster, Matt Houston. That will be a great couple hours. Matt Houston, Falcon Crest, Dallas. So it looks like Friday evening was the time to watch the nighttime soaps. What else? I guess this Master and TV's Greatest Censored Commercial Bloopers. Benny Hill. There's your local meteorologist. Got a half-page ad just for her. Yeah, David Copperfield was really big in the 80s. So you've got some craft recipes here. Kind of funny. Check this out. Care Bears battle the freeze machine. Huh. Must have been like a one little special or something. Of course, they had their own cartoon too, I think. Yeah, there's Masquerade. French Casino. U.S. security is threatened by Russia. More Cold War stuff. Looks like Kirstie Alley. Yeah, here we go. Oh, she's not even credited. They'd rather credit Lloyd Bachner, because that's why people are going to tune in. Well, that's interesting, though. Cold War stuff. Our crossword puzzle. Seen those in the other ones. Cigarette ad. Falcon Crest is wine country. Yeah, those nighttime soaps were really big. Dallas, Knots Landing, Dynasty. Football Labor, maybe. That's John Riggins. Another cigarette ad. I don't know if smoking goes well with sax playing, because you gotta have some pretty strong lungs to play the sax. Focus on college basketball since it's Final Four time. Merlin Olsen. Plaque. Yeah, Plaque was the big thing in the 80s. All right, and what are the odds? The back cover is... All right. Thanks for going through this one with me. See you next time.